And what it do, folks? It is your boy Charles Jonga here, and thank you for tuning in to Maryland Terrapins Live at the Voice of College Football. Like I said, I am your boy Charles Jonga, and we are going to you live here on Friday the 13th, February 13th, 2026. And for some of the best coverage in college football, you can follow me at Charles Jonga. That is CharlesNyonga across all social media platforms. That is CharlesNyonga across all social media platforms. And if you want to follow the Voice of College Football, that is the VOCFB across all social media platforms. That is THEVOCFB across all social media platforms. Now we Super Bowl 60, Super Bowl LX is in the books. It was live on NBC, Peacock, and all other apps that broadcast from NBC Universal Peacock. It was from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California, as the Seattle Seahawks defeated the New England Patriots. Yeah, New England Patriots 29-13 in one of the most boring Super Bowl games I have ever seen. However, the symbolism of the Seahawks celebrating their championship in their rival San Francisco 49ers stadium and locker room was quite hysterical. We're not going to spend too much time recapping the actual game because, like I said, it was boring. It was blah. Josh Myers made 5 field goals. Kenneth Walker was the MVP. But let's go run down through a few key things, and then we'll be moving on to what I really want to talk about today, and that is Maryland players in the Super Bowl and how that can help Maryland recruiting moving forward. So, as I said, we'll start off here with a little bit of a Super Bowl recap. Kenneth Walker III wins Super Bowl MVP, the first running back since Terrell Davis, and Super Bowl 32 in 1997, the year I graduated high school. 1997, how time flies. The halftime show, Bad Bunny killed it. I didn't understand much of what he said, but you can tell what he was talking about through the symbolism, through the rhythm, the motion, the feel, the reggaeton was great. He displayed the history and culture of Puerto Rico and an American territory. For those who are uninformed, he is an American citizen for the last time. You people, you ignorant people who think that Super Bowl should be done by Americans. Coldplay, U2, Shakira, Paul McCartney, Shania Twain, several non-Americans performing in the halftime show, but yeah, hell, it's not even Bad Bunny's first time at the halftime show. He was at the J-Lo Shakira halftime show a few years back. So the outrage now is piss poor at best. The outrage is basically people are offended to be offended, and who are the real snowflakes moving forward. They said Bad Bunny killed it. And for the second straight season, a football player who has a famous musician girlfriend had a terrible showing in the Super Bowl. Last year, it was Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. This year, it was Stephon Diggs and Cardi B. He lost the Super Bowl and he lost his girl. But that is pretty funny. Couple key stats I want to go over from the game. Quarterbacks, Sam Darnold had 202 yards passing, a touchdown. And then we had Jake May, 296 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. Kenneth Walker, like I said, Super Bowl MVP, 135 yards rushing. Ramondre Stevenson had 48 yards rushing. Total yards pretty balanced, but the key thing was the 3 turnovers by the New England Patriots. Yeah, this game was, like I said, quite boring, very uneventful. The first half I was watching, it's like, is anything happening? Like, what's going on? Be honest with you, the Seattle defense could have been, as a whole, been rated MVP because they beat Drake May like he owed them money. They beat him, like, in the words of good old JR, a government mule. They beat Drake May with an inch. It was like Drake May is like, there are some videos I saw where Drake May got hit, and head coach Mike Gray was like, "Are you okay? You want to get up? You want to keep playing?" So But on his positive side, Drake did make it to the Super Bowl. He did have a great year in his second year in the NFL, but he was overrun by a team of destiny, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks, who won the Super Bowl 60, Super Bowl LX 29-13 over the New England Patriots, and the Patriots have now lost, let's see, what, 4 Super Bowls? They've been to what? See, they've won 6 and they lost. See, they lost. They went to the Bears. They lost to the Eagles. They lost twice to the Giants. And wow, they've lost 11 Super Bowls, 6-5. Wow, 11 Super Bowls. And on a side note, the Dallas Cowboys have not made an NFC Championship game since like '96. I'm gonna leave it at that. And Seattle's won 2 Super Bowls since then. Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls since then. Let's see who else have won since the death. I know this is a little off topic, but I always have love of ragging on the Cowboys since their last time. So we had the Packers have won 2. The Broncos have won 2. The Rams have won 2. The Patriots have won 1, 2, 3, 6 since the last time the Cowboys have won anything. The Colts have won 1 since the last time the Cowboys won anything. The Steelers have won 2 since the last time the Cowboys won anything. The Saints have won 1 since the last time the Cowboys won anything. The Giants have won 2 since the last time the Cowboys won anything. The Ravens have won 2 since the last time the Cowboys won anything. The Eagles have won 2. The Buccaneers have won 2. The Chiefs have won 3. So again, America's team, no, they are not. But I'm sorry, I had to rag on the Cowboys just for a few minutes because it's easy to do because they're just like, oh, we're the America's team. This is our year. And yet, 1996, I was a junior in high school. That's the last time the Cowboys won any championship at all. And every other team, almost like, I want to put money on it. The Browns will win a Super Bowl before the Cowboys do. But which leads me to my next point is Maryland Terrapins Super Bowl performances. There were 4 active players in the Super Bowl who are from the state of Maryland, who have played for Maryland, who are Maryland alumni, DMV alumni area people. Obviously, the most famous one being Stefon Diggs, who was born in Gaithersburg, Maryland, played in the Capital Beltway League. In the Super Bowl, he had 3 catches on 3 targets of 37 yards. Mac Hollins was born in Rockville. He played in Maplewood, Bethesda. He had 4 catches on 8 targets, 78 yards, and a touchdown. And for the Seahawks, we had, I'm going to butcher this name, so work with me here, Olusegun Olawatimi, offensive lineman from DeMatha, right down the street from the University of Maryland. He was DeMatha High, and then Josh Joe was a cornerback who attended high school in Connecticut and went to Alabama. But he's also considered a DMV talent because he grew up in the region. So all 4 of those guys representing the DMV in the Super Bowl is a great way to lead to my next subject, and we'll talk about that in a second. But this area is ripe of football talent. The high schools in this area are stacked with talent. You have, like I said, DeMatha. You have Good Counsel. You have, Archbishop Spalding. You have the schools of Virginia. You have the schools of D.C., Dunbar. You have schools in Baltimore like St. Francis and so much, so more. So I think what a lot of what James Smith, the UAD, in his second year as at the helm at the University of Maryland's athletic director, he's going to take a look at these players, maybe do something to where he can like get his PR team together to where they can like look and say, hey, if you're in the DMV and you can come to play for a school like Maryland, that is just as good of an opportunity to get you to the next level as going to somewhere like Alabama or LSU or who else? Alabama, SU, Florida, et cetera. Because if you look at some of these guys recently, like St. Francis Academy, DeMatha, IMG, Archbishop Spalding, Northwest, Ballou, Bishop McNamara. There are some schools in this area. Like I say, I'm not even gonna get into the Virginia side of the market because Virginia has, the Northern Virginia area has a great football atmosphere. So yeah, this is a good way for. I believe this is a good way for Maryland to actually use their skill set, to use the location, use the fact that we are in the DMV, we are the DC metro area. Number It fluctuates anywhere between 9 and 11 medium market in the nation. Connections to the Capitol Hill, which, to be honest with you, we probably don't want right now with how ugly things are going on there. But that's a topic for another sports show, another show in general. But they got to use these connections. They got to use these resources here in the DMV to keep these local players in Maryland and going to the University of Maryland. Get that recruiting class larger than low mid teens. Get up to the 20s and 30s where you have 3 or 4 5 stars. 3 or 4 4 stars, and then continue filling that roster with those 3 stars who help your depth. And then speaking of that, another thing I came across today is the Nigeria to the NFL pipeline. And we'll talk about how a lot of those people who are migrated from Nigeria end up in the DMV area. And I want to talk about that right now is because in the NFL, 19% of the foreign-born players have migrated from Nigeria, and a lot of those immigrants wind up here in the DMV. The Washington, D.C. metro area hosts one of the largest Nigerian populations in the United States, with roughly 27,570 plus residents, heavily concentrated in Prince George's County, which is right where University of Maryland is located in College Park, Charles County, Maryland. They are largely professionals in healthcare, tech, service sectors, and supported by the community hubs like the Nigerian Center in DC. So they are usually more of the affluent area of the immigrants who come in with a little bit of, who usually end up in more affluent areas, like say here in Prince George's County. So usually means they end up going to some of the national schools, like such as these higher end athletic powerhouses. And so, like I said, there's an article I came across today. It's called Lagos to Lombardi, Nigeria's 34-year road to NFL Super Bowl history with the Seattle Seahawks. It is by Colin Odu. It came out on the 12th, 3:30 on ESPN's website. I suggest you go check it out. It's a great read. He talks about how last Saturday at Levi Stadium, Seattle Seahawks celebrated a 29-13 Super Bowl victory over the Patriots and winning the championship. But they had on their team, they had linebacker Uchenna Nosu, defensive back Nick Iruami, linebacker Boye Mafe, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Olu Alawati, all play for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, as these kids come over here and they accolade themselves to the American culture, you can notice, like I said, 19% of the foreign-born competitors are Nigerian. That's another angle that University of Maryland can take, is say, hey, let's get these kids who are moving here, learn the culture, playing football, because the NFL has done a fantastic job of basically what they do. I can't remember what it's called. It's called the what is it called? The pipeline here. I'm looking for the name of it here. It is, where is it? I just had it here. It's basically the NFL is basically doing like a kind of like what baseball does in the Caribbean, and in Latin America, where they build camps, they build they send over people who can teach the kids the game, and also, like I said, those kids come over here, they enjoy the game, they become fans of the game, and they grow up to the system, go through our local high school system, college system, and they make it to pros. So it's going to be interesting how we can use that aspect of the game, of the immigrants, of Nigerian immigrants, to come to the United States, to come to play football, and somehow play at University of Maryland, help booster that the talent pool. Like I said, we're not just getting our guys, kids born here, but get the kids who are born internationally, come over here, play for the University of Maryland, and move on to the next level of football playing in the NFL. So back to the article, what Largos to Lombardi, Nigeria's 34-year road to the NFL football history with the Seattle Seahawks. He talks about the Nigerian president Bolo Tumbo issued a statement congratulating players, singled out Iman Wari, Wusu, and Mafi for raising the Nigerian flag before the Super Bowl. President Timbus commends all players for the pride and honor they have brought to their country of descent, especially Imanuri, Nwosu, and Mafe, who raised the Nigerian flag after winning the Super Bowl with the Seahawks. A statement from Bayo Muga, special advisor to the president, said, "These players and their accomplishments affirm Nigerians' global reputation for excellence and talent," Tinubu said. Also acknowledging Patriots offensive lineman Michael Onwenu, who played for the losing side but earned praise as one of the most dominant offensive linemen. For Nigeria and perhaps the larger African diaspora, the USA, in the USA, this provides the latest evidence of a pipeline that has grown from a trickle to now a steady stream, starting from when Eluabe became the first player of African origin to win a Super Bowl with the then Washington Redskins back in 1992. Again, this area is stacked full of Nigerian immigrants, and the kids grow up to play football. And then they go and they say, "Hey, kids, Mike Loxley, James Smith, maybe you can hire someone of Nigerian descent in your staff to help that transition, to allow these kids to understand that, hey, we understand who you are, where you're from, and then we want to bring that culture to you, because there is a fantastic African African that's the word I'm looking for, uh, culture club that is at University of Maryland, and I've seen, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Let's see if I can find it here. I'm looking for it right now. Maryland African Club. Maryland African Campus. The Maryland Commission on African American Culture and History, and then there's also the UMD's African American Studies. So there's a whole bunch of options here that can use to help promote the African American, African Nigerian primarily culture here at the University of Maryland, and use those guys to help them come and basically, take advantage of the fact that they are one of the largest demographics of immigrants here in the DMV. But this is going to be a short show because there's not much going on in college football. So I just wanted to give my final thoughts on the Super Bowl, recruiting, and such and such. Super Bowl is trash. Halftime show is great. Maryland is recruiting is pretty much set. Spring practices are coming up soon. We will hopefully be able to get credentials to attend some of these spring practices, talk to some of these new recruits, hopefully be able to talk to guys such as Zion Ellie, Darrell Kelly, Cameron Brickle, Sean Johnson, Javante Williams, Jamarcus Weiss, Hakeem Satterwhite, Damon Hall Jr., Josiah Teasley, Zahir Cobb, Caden Carter, Dejan Moore, Nathan Burhead, Jaden Kitchens, Jesse Moody, Braden Marco, and Johnny Davis. Along with the transfers, we have Devin Kerrigan, Javon Parker, Armand Parker, Talik Lockett, Preston Howard, Javon Johnson, Amari Jackson, Derek LeBlanc, Chris Durr Jr., Naheem Abdul-Rahim Galding, and Harry Dalton III. So coming over the next few weeks, we'll try to get some time to talk about all these players and about their journey from, young men to playing football at University of Maryland, the greatest school in the United States. So, and on that note, I am Charles Younger. This has been a short episode of Maryland Terrapins Live. I wish I could have brought you some more, but like I said, it's been a hectic week. We've had issues with at the house, so we have to go. I have to leave here now and take care of some things. But stay tuned next week where we go more into a deep dive of Maryland recruits and spring practice. And like I say, for some of the best coverage in college football, please visit the website at www.vocfb.com. Follow us on X, all social media at THEVOCFB. And follow me at Charles Young, that's CharlesNyonga. And when we come back next week, hopefully Mark Gray will be with us because he's having a huge weekend with March Madness starting to come around the corner. A lot of the HBCUs are doing their conference tournaments, and he's on the call for a lot of those games. But when we come back next week, we'll bring you a lot more in depth of Maryland football as spring practice approaches. Don't forget to also follow me as baseball approaches as well. Follow me on social media for MLBBro.com stuff. You go see a lot of things when it comes to some of the black and brown American baseball players here in the DMV with the Washington Nationals, the Baltimore Orioles, and other teams who come to visit and play us every week. So for Maryland Terrapins Live here on the Voice of College Football, I am Charles Younger. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.